In the late 1980s, the NBA wasn't just a league of basketball. It was a battlefield. The Chicago Bulls, led by the rising superstar Michael Jordan, were determined to conquer the Eastern Conference. But standing in their way was a team that prided itself on intimidation, toughness, and sheer physical brutality. The Detroit Pistons, famously nicknamed the Bad Boys. And at the very heart of that rough, relentless Detroit squad was Bill Laimbeer, a player who was as hated as he was effective. He wasn't the most athletic or talented, but Laimbeer was the enforcer, the bruiser, and the man who embodied everything Jordan despised about the Pistons. Their clashes would become legendary, but there came a day, a defining moment, when Michael Jordan finally destroyed Bill Laimbeer and everything he stood for. To understand that moment, we have to go back to the roots of the rivalry. In the late 1980s, the Pistons were kings of the Eastern Conference. They weren't just beating teams, they were breaking them. Under head coach Chuck Daly, Detroit built a dynasty based on defense and toughness and intimidation. Their lineup featured Hall of Famers like Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, and Bill Laimbeer. Together, they created an identity that was completely different from what the NBA had seen before. They didn't rely on flash or finesse. They relied on pain. They fouled hard. They talked trash. And they made sure every opponent who walked into the game walked out with bruises. For Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, the Pistons became their greatest obstacle. Jordan had already established himself as one of the league's most electrifying scorers. But the Pistons refused to let him play his game. They developed a strategy known as the Jordan Rules. It wasn't a myth. It was a real defensive scheme designed to stop one man. The rules were simple. When Jordan drove to the basket, hit him. If he got up again, hit him harder. Trap him, double him, force him left, and never let him breathe. Bill Laimbeer was the main enforcer of that system. Standing at 6 feet 11 inches, he wasn't afraid to foul hard, shove, or even start fights. He became Jordan's personal tormentor, and every game between the Bulls and Pistons was a war. In the 1988 and 1989 Eastern Conference playoffs, the Pistons humiliated the Bulls. Every time Jordan tried to rise to glory, Detroit pulled him back down, literally. Laimbeer and company made sure to deliver body blows every time Jordan attacked the rim. It was physical, brutal, and borderline dirty basketball. But it worked. The Pistons went on to win back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990, while Jordan was left frustrated, bloodied, and disrespected. But those painful losses built something inside of him. Michael Jordan was not the type to back down. Every hit, every shove, every humiliation added fuel to his fire. He went into the offseason after 1990 with one mission: to destroy the Pistons once and for all. That offseason, Jordan completely transformed his body. He hit the weight room like never before, adding muscle and endurance. His trainer, Tim Grover, later said that Jordan's entire focus was on surviving the Pistons' physical play. Jordan knew that to beat Detroit, he couldn't just outscore them. He had to out-tough them. By the time the 1990-91 season rolled around, the Chicago Bulls were no longer the team that the Pistons could bully. They were faster, stronger, smarter, and led by a version of Jordan that the league had never seen before. When the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals began, everyone knew what was at stake. For the Bulls, it was redemption. For the Pistons, it was survival. Detroit entered as the defending champions, but it was clear from Game 1 that things had changed. Jordan attacked relentlessly. And every time Laimbeer tried to deliver one of his signature cheap shots, Jordan bounced back with even more fury. In Game 2, Jordan put on a show that left the Palace of Auburn Hills in silence. Driving down the lane, He exploded past Isaiah Thomas, rose up over Laimbeer, and threw down a vicious dunk right on top of him. The crowd gasped. The look on Laimbeer's face said it all: shock, frustration, and disbelief. For years, he had been the one delivering punishment. Now, he was the one being humiliated. That moment became symbolic. It was the day Michael Jordan destroyed Bill Laimbeer, not just with a dunk, but with dominance. With seconds left in Game 4, as the Bulls were on their way to a sweep, Bill Laimbeer motioned to his teammates to walk off the court without shaking hands. Isaiah Thomas, John Salley, and the rest of the Pistons followed him, marching past the Bulls' bench and disappearing into the tunnel. No congratulations, no sportsmanship, just bitterness. The image became one of the most infamous moments in NBA history. Jordan stood there, watching as his rivals walked away, knowing that he had finally conquered them. To him, it wasn't just about basketball, it was about respect. That cold, classless exit from Detroit was Laimbeer's final act of defiance. But to Jordan, it was proof that he had broken them completely. After that series, everything changed. The Bulls went on to win their first NBA championship by defeating the Los Angeles Lakers in the finals. Jordan finally had the ring that had eluded him for so long, and from that point on, he was unstoppable. Over the next 8 years, he would go on to win 6 NBA titles and become the greatest player the game had ever seen. Meanwhile, the Pistons dynasty fell apart. Their era of dominance was over, and players like Laimbeer soon faded from relevance. For all the talk of toughness and intimidation, it was Jordan's skill, discipline, and mental fortitude that prevailed. Years later, both men would reflect on that rivalry. Bill Laimbeer remained unapologetic. In interviews, he admitted that he didn't regret the walk-off or the physical play. He said, "We were just doing what we had to do to win." But Jordan saw it differently. To him, the Pistons represented everything he had to overcome to become a champion. Their hatred made him stronger, their fouls made him tougher, and their disrespect made his eventual triumph that much sweeter. When fans talk about the day Michael Jordan destroyed Bill Laimbeer, they're not just talking about a dunk or a game. They're talking about the moment when the balance of power in the NBA shifted forever. That day wasn't about violence or revenge. It was about evolution. Jordan took the pain the Pistons had given him and turned it into purpose. He destroyed Laimbeer, not by fighting dirty, but by playing beautifully. That's what separated him from everyone else. It's almost poetic. The man who built his reputation on fouls and frustration was taken down by the man who defined perfection. In that moment, Jordan showed that true dominance isn't about knocking someone down. It's about rising so high that they can never reach you again. The dunk over Laimbeer symbolized the end of the bad boys era and the beginning of the Jordan era, which would soon take the NBA global. Today, decades later, that rivalry still lives in the memories of fans. You can feel the tension in old highlight reels. You can hear the boos echoing through the palace. And you can see the fire in Jordan's eyes as he stared down his enemies. It was more than basketball, it was personal. Jordan's revenge was complete, and Bill Laimbeer became the face of a vanquished empire. The man who once bullied the league had been bullied by greatness itself. Michael Jordan's destruction of Bill Laimbeer wasn't about a single play. It was the culmination of years of pain, hard work, and evolution. It was the story of a man who refused to be broken and instead broke the very system designed to stop him. That's why, even after all these years, that day remains legendary in the history of sports. It wasn't just the day Jordan destroyed Laimbeer. It was the day he destroyed doubt, fear, and the old order of the NBA. So when we look back at that moment, we don't just see a dunk or a win. We see the moment the game changed forever. The moment the greatest player alive took control of his destiny and never looked back. The day Michael Jordan destroyed Bill Laimbeer was the day Michael Jordan became unstoppable. And if you love legendary stories like this, rivalries that shaped basketball history, the moments that defined greatness, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, because more stories of heart, rivalry, and redemption are coming your way.